Did you know that living in many worlds rewires your brain to become a 40% more creative problem solver? Is that mind-blowing to you as well? Then this video is exactly for you! Because in the next few minutes we look at how does it help you, how does it rewire your brain with looking into different worlds without even traveling a lot. And of course those tips are going to be helpful for you to be unstoppable! You ready to rumble? Alright, then let's start already with the very first point, which is about living in many worlds changes your brain. Every time you enter a new world, a new culture, a new job, a new city, your brain builds fresh mental models. These models become extra lenses. You can switch between when solving problems. And creativity increases because you're no longer limited to one way of seeing reality. Let me put this differently. Let's say you're always in the same environment that you usually operate in. You're sort of in an autopilot because you know, okay, when I open the door, this and that is going to happen. When I say hi to that person, this and that is going to happen. This is expected from me. So you're more just kind of on autopilot. You follow the standard routine and it's all clear to you. But what happens if you get outside of that comfort zone and you enter a new world? Of course, you can no longer rely on the experience that you had, that if you open the door already, it's going to be this specific world. You first need to have a look at it and see, how do people interact with each other? How is the engagement here? How do you address each other? What kind of topics you're talking about? What is the most important part in this, let's say in this work environment? And that is the interesting thing about entering and discovering new worlds, because it completely rewires your brain. Instead of just being on autopilot and doing everything you're used to, no, it actually stops your mind and tells your mind, okay, let's have a look and see first how everything works here. What is the rhythm? What are the habits and what are the underlying rules in order to, of course, succeed? This means if you're in a new environment, it actually tells your brain, wait a moment, something is different here, and automatically your mind is more open, more receptive to seeing what's really happening here, and of course also observing in order to, yes, understand a bit more the underlying rules, how people interact with each other, or what is the best thing to talk about, for example, in the workplace. Which brings me already to the second point, pattern recognition, the hidden superpower. When you lived in multiple worlds, your brain starts spotting similarities between things that look unrelated. You begin connecting ideas from different fields, industries, or cultures in ways others never consider. This cross-pollination is what boosts creative insight by up to 40%. And that is something definitely that we discovered already when looking into the productivity system of Disney, because there they work in different teams where people have different backgrounds within the team. So one person is more experienced in the entertainment world, some people are more involved in the animation aspect, and all the different backgrounds. And by putting those people together from different backgrounds, that's actually where the learning curve is going to increase, because everybody has a different background, everybody brings in a different perspective into the situation. And that's something that definitely is going to be a hidden superpower, because by living in many different worlds, you see a bit what is the pattern in order to succeed in that world, how do you operate certain aspects in the other world, etc. And by having this knowledge, it will help you to combine them and again see connections where others don't see the connections. Because the cool thing is, those skills that you learn in one world, they're not just staying in this one world. Of course, with world, what do I mean specifically here? It can be your work environment. It can be in your free time that you follow some hobbies. It can be that you're taking extra courses to learn more skills. It can be also that you're traveling. Anything that is different from your usual engagement, your usual environment. And the cool thing is, again here, skills that you learn in one area, you can easily transfer and also use in another area. Point number 3, the friction that makes you smarter. Every world comes with its own rules, and navigating them forces your brain to adapt. That adaptation builds cognitive flexibility, the ability to switch perspectives quickly. The more friction you experience, the more innovative your thinking becomes. And that is something I can definitely confirm. Let me give you a simple example. When I was a student, I used to do promotion jobs, meaning whenever there was a need for one day to have somebody who's advertising about a product, who's talking to people, who shows or just stands next to a product and answers any kind of questions people have. That's the kind of job that I was doing. That means I wasn't doing the same consistent job as a part-time job. Not at all. Instead, whenever there was a need, I jumped in and said, hey, okay, I can help you here. And what did happen is with every different assignment, I always quickly needed to adapt to the situation and understand, okay, what is the most important thing here? With whom are we talking about? And what is the objective with the job that I'm fulfilling today? And by taking on those different roles, it helped me to understand more quickly what is required. And I remember at the beginning, I was struggling a bit, trying to figure out what is required of me. But the longer I worked in that field as a part-time jobber, it helped me to more quickly adapt to the situation. And whenever they said, Louise, we need you here, I said, okay, course, put me in. And just after a few seconds, maybe I'm exaggerating here, but what I want to say is very quickly, I could understand what is the assignment about. And of course, immediately say, okay, I'm ready, just put me in. I will start working right away. And that is something definitely that you can see here is by entering the different worlds, it helps you see the patterns, but not only see the patterns, but it makes your mind a bit more flexible, because it's not only that you have to follow this path. By exposing yourself to many different worlds, you see it at this place you do it that way, in this place you do it that way, in this assignment this is required of you, and you can see again your mind becomes more flexible. If we're talking in metaphors, it's a bit like exercising, right? If you just exercise once a month and you expect to be a super fit athlete, you might have difficulties doing so. But if you regularly exercise, you regularly try out different things, of course you're going to be very fit and you can fulfill the responsibilities. And the same thing applies in life, meaning if you are more looking into different words and understand what are the rules, then this helps you to be more flexible towards taking on different roles. Then let me go already to the next point, number 4, which is about translating ideas across worlds. People who live in many worlds become natural translators of concepts, not languages. You learn how to take an idea from one environment and make it work in another. This translation skill is the foundation of breakthrough innovation. Because that's the point. Once you understand how an environment works, like for example, a different department that you're working in, you understand how people interact with each other, what's the most important part for that specific department. But then let's say you go to another department and you see that the dynamics are completely different. And you realize, somehow it is a bit different. The experience is different. I don't really feel the strong connection that I had in the other department. And then by already noticing that something is different, you're more likely to come up with ideas to see what could be possibly changed in order to either create something similar, something better, or something completely different that is still amazing, to create an amazing team to work in, of course. So this means, again, you're not only becoming more flexible towards adapting to different worlds. No, not at all. Instead, you're also seeing a bit what are the different patterns. You have had the experience in one world, and this experience, this emotion, this you can easily transfer to the other world and make suggestions that people maybe haven't seen beforehand, because they know, they're on autopilot. They just know one way of doing things. But again, with bringing in the different perspectives, you can enrich the entire department work, for example. Point number 5, how anyone can build a multi-world mindset. You don't need to travel the world to live in many worlds. You can read, collaborate, explore new communities, or learn new skills. The goal is to expose your brain to unfamiliar systems so it can build new mental models. When you intentionally diversify your experiences, creativity becomes a predictable outcome, not a lucky accident. And when looking at the productivity system of companies, you remember we also looked into the productivity system of BMW. And there, one thing, they do exactly the same thing. They bring in mechanical engineers from different aspects into one team to develop one aspect within the car. And by having this background from many different worlds, again, it also enriches the entire team output and increases productivity. So this means for you specifically, Good news is you don't need to travel the world and expose yourself to many different environments, different countries. No. Instead, you can think about how you can expose yourself to different environments, different fields that you're usually doing. This means, for example, at work, you could think about talking to other people from other departments. See a bit what kind of topics they're working on. What is the most important thing for their department? Or, for example, you have lunch with them together, or next time you see them in the kitchen, have a chat and see what's currently happening with them, what's the hot topic in the department, for example. Or in your free time, you could think about starting a new hobby, things that energize you as well. Of course, on top you learn some other skills, but again, if you expose yourself to something new, again, it rewires your brain and makes you a more creative problem solver. Or think about it, you want to learn some new skills. You want to learn something more about communication skills. You want to learn more productivity tips. Or you want to learn some more self-development tips. Then check out Your Organized Auntie, because there will be more of those tips. Okay, point aside. Let me say it differently. Just expose yourself to something that you haven't done before. Oh, and let me add one point here as well. What is specifically important is when you want to discover, connect different dots, one skill that is super important is to be curious. And by curious, I don't mean to be noisy and always ask people about their private life. How is this going? Have you heard about that? And start gossiping. No. Instead, it means to be curious, to understand what are the aspects, what are the points that are important for your colleagues? Why are they doing this? How is this adding value to the bigger picture? And by trying to understand it, looking at kind of the small actions, how they contribute to a bigger picture, it helps you also understand how, for example, your work ties in with some other colleagues' work, and you see the bigger picture. And by seeing the bigger picture, you might think, okay, actually the steps that I'm taking are not going to be helpful for my colleague. Let me rethink my procedures so that I can have an output that is way more helpful for my colleague. And ta-da! You already have a creative solution to a problem other people haven't seen existed. But by talking to colleagues, for example, or by exposing yourself to other environments, or by learning new skills, you see those things that actually there is potential to improve something. Isn't that amazing? Hooray! So remember, curiosity is a great skill that will help you to connect the dots and, of course, to be more creative in solving problems. Besties, your next breakthrough is already inside of you. You just need to discover a few more worlds to see connections that others don't see. Then hit the like and subscribe button, because then there will be some more tips that will help you to be more creative, to live better, and of course to be unstoppable. Speak to you soon. Bye. And as usual, I put you some blurbies in the back, so have fun, enjoy, right? Because there we looked at how it is going to be wonderful. Point number 3, the ability to switch perspectives. Perfectives, yes, you need to switch perspectives quickly. No, and this doesn't mean, okay, let me go many different words. Breakthrough, no, not breakthrough. Besties.